internet.
Is the internet? Can you all hear
Yay.
me? Can you all see me?
Well,
I think they can.
See me.
Cool. So we'll talk about that. I think we'll talk about your creativity as a filmmaker, actress, director, set dresser. You have all kinds of listings on IMDb that you do everything. So
I'm a terrible set dresser, so that is not one, but I'll take additional credits, sure.
And
We'll
then
make that one today.
yeah, we'll talk about that. Talk about your Final Fantasy obsession. We can call it an obsession, right? Because it's an obsession.
Oh, totally.
So we'll talk about that. Then we probably have a lot of questions for you as a former Disney spokesperson and what that means. If you're even able to talk about that, I hear that the mouse comes after people that speak about things on these from the back.
Yeah, I don't know if you're allowed to do that. So
I can talk about some things because I'm technically not employed by them anymore. But I have very positive things to say about the Walt Disney Company. I don't see them going after me.
Very cool.
I won't tell you all the secrets, but I'll tell you what I can. I'll lead you to the line,
Nice.
That works.
And then we can make our own conjectures, and we'll be able to and this is from a credible source. The churro is reused dust that you find. So there you go. I trailed off at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I trailed off at the end.
Worst.
Every now and then you get one that you're a little like, oh, did this one fall? But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about that, and we can chat about a couple of things that are happening in the news for video games, because I think this is a video game podcast. I don't know if it's going to continue to be a video game podcast. But
I don't think it has been for a while, man.
Yeah. It's just
We've
whatever
retooled.
it is now. And then,
Where the wind blows you.
Yeah, and then we have a fun Disney quiz where you and Michael will compete, and you will prove your Disney dominance. So
I bet. What if you win, Mike? That'd be the worst.
I don't know too much.
Letter from Disney.
Well, I don't know too much about Disney, so we'll have to see.
Oh,
I might be out of my depth here because Disney and we are.
So
I know about Disney, and so we'll see if I know all this stuff. So
I'm more in parks and resorts. I'm just gonna put that out there just in case I bomb this.
This
is my disclaimer.
Yeah,
this is my area.
This is my niche. So every question I get wrong, it's because you're not in my niche.
This is actually a Disneyland park quiz, so specifically geared towards our guest. So there you go. Michael is probably the same.
I've only been to Disneyland once, so we'll have to see how this goes.
So Michael is the same level fanatic as you are for Final Fantasy VII. So we'll set the stage there.
That's not true.
Well, it's close, but anyway. Okay, so it's 8:30.
Awesome.
I'm going to push a couple buttons, and I'm going to remember to do timestamps, and then we'll get started. Unless anyone objects to us getting started. All right, here we go. I won't listen to your objections.
In cash.
You are listening to the Freelancer Codex, a podcast brought to you by the Shut Up and Respawn Network.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 157 of the Freelancer Codex podcast. I'm your host, Steve, along with my co-host, Mike, and special guest, Jolie Hales. Jolie, thank you for hanging out with us today on this very strange podcast that somehow is still running. Thank you for being here.
That's quite the introduction.
It is very strange.
Podcast that for some reason still exists. I like that.
Well, we used to be the longest running Anthem podcast, but now that's kind of gone. We don't even know what's happening with that game, and we decided, hey, we'll just keep talking, because where else would Mike and I talk to each other about stuff? So it's not like we talk very often. I'm actually surprised we're all here. We all bought stock into GameStop, and we're going to be moving to the moon pretty soon because we've been investing in that and enjoying that interesting ride. That's been an interesting 3 days, and that is entered into the sphere of video game stuff, just because GameStop happened to be in the right place in the right time in order for crazy stock shenanigans to happen. So, you should never bet against Reddit. That's what I've learned in my time, being on Reddit. Don't bet against Reddit. So you won't like it. Cool. So this is episode 157. It is January the 27th. It also happens to be Michael's birthday. Happy 40th birthday, Mike. Happy birthday to you.
How dare you? How dare you? I am 22.
Happy 22nd
birthday.
Thank you. Yes, it is my birthday. Yay.
I get to meet you on your birthday.
How cool is that?
What a present for me.
Oh,
that's cool.
It is cool. I should go buy a lottery ticket.
Are you really turning? I'm sorry, I'm hijacking. I do that sometimes. I apologize. Are you turning 40 for real? 22 for real?
Eventually, I'll be 40, but not this year. I'm 38 this year.
Oh, 38. Okay.
38. Yeah.
And
yeah.
for
I'm not that old.
You look younger than 40.
Yay!
You look 2 years younger than 40, Mike.
Can I pull off 22 though? I don't know. I don't think I can pull off 22.
Sure.
I've got too much wisdom back here, so
That's
too much going on.
I also would have said that. But all right, so it is January 27th. Happy birthday. And before we get started talking to Jolie about all the things that she's been doing, she has been doing a lot of talk about Final Fantasy on the internet. So I enjoy my fair share of Final Fantasy, and we would like to talk with her about what's with the obsession. But no, anyway. So we will first want to thank our patrons. So we want to thank Julius, Nathan B, Michael R, Trent B, Man and Steel, Scout69, Dragonheart 76, Jeffrey H, The Gameplay Experience, RZ, and Phaedron for supporting the show for so long. We really, really appreciate it. We probably wouldn't do it without you. So thank you so much for your support. And if anyone would like to support the show, they can do that at patreon.com/Freelancer Codex. And you can kick $1 our way. Because, hey, it's $1. That's super cheap. All right, so Jolie, at the beginning of the show, we always ask what we've been doing this past week. So I want to kick it over to you and really just kind of ask you not what you've been doing only this week, but kind of I want to hear about what you've been doing in the podcasting space. You are the host of the Big Compute podcast, and it's a show that I have enjoyed listening to. You guys talk a lot about how supercomputers can help engineers, help other companies do their work easier. You guys had an episode about the coronavirus and supercomputing, helping figure out better vaccinations or better ways to fight the coronavirus, from things like conventional means to actually like growing plants that can help fight the coronavirus, that I thought was super interesting. So can you tell us a little bit about that, about your podcasting experience on there?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, it's called the Big Compute podcast. And basically, I mean, we don't realize how much in our life is created or made better or enhanced in some way by supercomputers or high performance computing, also abbreviated HPC in the industry. And I work in tech right now, and part of my job is to host this podcast where I get to interview engineers and scientists who use supercomputers to enhance our world. So they're like undercover superheroes is what we call them, because they're really making a difference and an impact in our lives, but we have no idea that they're doing it. We don't know the names behind it. Like, for instance, like the Tide Pods that you throw into the laundry, right, to clean your clothes. A ton of supercomputing had to go into actually designing those, right? Which you would never really think, because you have to, nowadays, you can digitally simulate what would happen with certain kinds of materials and products and certain heat and certain fluids. Whereas in the past, the technology took a long time, products took a long time to evolve and get better, because everything had to be physically tested. Like science had to all be physically done in a lab, right? It wasn't like you could run a bunch of scientific chemical profiles through a supercomputer and identify what would help what, like you can today. So because of that, science and technology is advancing at an extremely awesome pace. And there's just so much to talk about. I mean, everything. Your cell phone, obviously, a lot of that was made through supercomputing. The case, the $5 plastic case on your cell phone, is something that was designed through supercomputing, through simulation, right? A Mars rover is one. It's everything out there. And I get to talk about it, which is pretty rad. I interview the experts and then learn a lot, because I am definitely not a scientist or an engineer.
No, I think it's cool that you get to talk with all these people and learn from them. And because there's applications that, like you said, that we never even think of, that it's like, oh, you can use supercomputing for that. And you start learning about industries that, you just were never on our radar. So it's really cool to listen to smart people talk about their field of expertise, because it's not like coming on this show and having a bunch of weirdos like talk about things they have no idea about. You actually learn something. So I think that's really cool. Is there do you have the most interesting thing you have learned while doing the podcast? Something that really stands out?
Well, I just took over it in the early fall. So I've done, probably the most interesting thing that comes to mind. I mean, we've done a lot of COVID episodes, but it was interesting to hear simulations done on musical instruments and which musical instruments pose the highest risk of spreading COVID versus others. So we're talking like wind and brass instruments, where you're actually blowing aerosol particles. And so some studies were done to see which ones were the highest risk and the lowest risk. And do you want to take a guess which one's the highest and the lowest? Put you on the spot.
The elementary school recorder.
Yeah, they didn't test that one.
Oh, they should. There's a gold mine there. They will find out that is the one.
I am going.
So it's definitely going to be something you blow into. So I'm going to go with either the flute or the French horn. Trombone. Ooh.
I was going to say the flute.
The flute?
Yeah, because it has
flute,
less.
Because you blow across the mouthpiece, and so it kind of.
Yeah.
You're at least blowing into a mouthpiece when you do like a
trombone
trumpet
has all
or
like
trombone.
the twists and stuff in there.
Yeah.
So I mean, you'll have to check out bigcompute.org because I'm trying to make sure that I remember it right. But if I remember correctly, the flute was actually average. So it was in the same category where it emits the same number of aerosol particles as talking or breathing. So it's the same. But the trombone was in a higher risk category, but it wasn't the highest risk. The highest risk instrument was the trumpet, which, as you can imagine, you've seen somebody play the trumpet. Mm-hmm. They look like they're going to die. Like their face is puffed out, and not to offend any trumpet players out there. My brother's a trombone player and it's very similar, but they're blowing so hard into this instrument that it's just going aerosol particles everywhere, right? And it's got a very short tubing, so there's it doesn't collect inside the instrument as much. So because of that, it's 10 times worse than talking.
That's why I gave up the trumpet. That's really why I gave it up. I did, but I had to give it up because I was spreading. I did. It was in mid school, so it was a while ago. But I knew it was all about the aerosols. I said, you know what, Mom, I can't play this anymore. I'm spreading too many aerosols. She said, oh, don't give it up. I said, no, I can't. I have to. So, and now it's been confirmed. 26 years later, it's confirmed that you can't do it.
You were basically a child prophet. So
I was.
And we'll listen to everything you say from now on.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that, Stephen?
I don't think we have it recorded at all, so
we could have just been shot down.
So Jolie, as far as podcasting goes, have you done any podcasting before, or was this kind of like, all right, you're going to do this show, you're going to learn to podcast and get after it?
So this is my first podcast that I've hosted. I've been a guest on a few podcasts before, so I was a little bit familiar with talking on one, but it's a lot easier to just be a guest on one and speak to people and then make them do all the work than it is to actually, produce one. Because with the Big Compute podcast, not only am I a host on it, but I do all of the editing, all of the writing. Pretty much it's kind of my baby, and it's in a very long form storytelling format with sound effects and music, very similar to, we're going kind of for the Radio Lab style vibe, And so because of that, it takes me forever to do it, because there's just so much editing. It's like a giant video production, but it's all audio, right? The way that this one's done. We can't push them out every week. It's more like every 2 or 3 weeks, and hopefully we'll speed that up as the company I work for is able to increase headcount, and I can pass off some other things to other people. No, if that day ever comes, we'll see.
Yeah, and
knock on wood.
And the podcast sounds great. Like, I would not be surprised to hear it on the NPR network, because it is very well produced. And I'm like, man, Jolie's gonna come on here and hear how we do this and be so embarrassed that we're doing the show because of the amount of work that you guys put in. But
are you kidding me? I think this is great, and I mean, good for you for just pushing out raw content. Whereas I feel like I'm this perfectionist that really just takes forever. You know what I mean? It's not as authentic, frankly speaking, because if I say something that's really dumb, I can get rid of it because I'm in charge of the editing.
Nice.
Whereas, you're putting yourself out there, and I think there's something really charming and cool about that.
Yeah, all the dumb stuff stays in here.
I get to say dumb things. Woohoo! You just said I could. I can say dumb things. Well, that's all I'm here for.
I don't know if you needed permission for that. You've done it before, and we just leave it in. But
now someone appreciates it. Just saying.
Understand. So speaking of all this
I
stuff,
am appreciative of that.
so and talking more about like you're doing the podcast thing, like you also have directing credits on IMDb for short films. So it seems like you're a very creative person. Like at heart, has that always been the case for you? Were you like directing brothers and sisters when you were growing up, like in small family films? And do they do they still talk to you, or just like, no, I don't think we're talking to that person anymore?
I never appreciated it, let's be honest. I was also the oldest of the 4 kids, so it was kind of like,
that makes sense.
So you had a captive audience. They had to do what you said.
Yeah, I was
You're
kind of
gonna
like,
do
I'm in
this.
charge. This is the thing. Yeah, and I was always like writing plays and like just, creating is something that has always been a part of me and always will be a part of me. And it's interesting because I used to work in Hollywood and do the film thing there, but I ended up walking away because even though I love the creative part but there's other places and other ways I can do it than actually in Hollywood. Because I live in Southern California, and I'm still close by Hollywood, but I didn't like the vibe there. In fact, the culmination of that realization was I went to the Hollywood Awards, which is a precursor award ceremony to the Academy Awards. So all of the celebrities are there. They do this giant dinner. They, give out these awards, and it's like super ritzy. I mean, we're talking like, oh my gosh, they had like 40 or 50 models that were posed to be decorations. Does that make sense? Like, and then every 30 minutes.
No, I mean, it does, but it doesn't make sense. That's weird.
Right. So like somebody goes into this and like, there are people who like crave the red carpet atmosphere. I have never been that person. I do not care about like fame and fortune, except the only benefit would probably be it would give you the next gig to be creative more easily. That would be nice. But I remember going to this thing and I was surrounded by celebrities, and I don't really care. I mean, I respect their craft and talent, but I'm not like a person who's like, selfie, hey, look, everybody, I hung out with this random face, like, who cares? So, but when I was there, I remember that there was so much money thrown into this. There were so many celebrities, and the best conversation I had that night, I mean, everybody, not everybody, but a lot of the people there were very ostentatious Hollywood, trying to, if they weren't big already, they were trying to make it big. And the best conversation I had there was with the one of the servers who barely spoke any English, who was bringing out the strawberries, who like wasn't allowed to talk to the people in attendance, unless they talked to them first. And I just remember thinking, I'm in my gown, right? And I remember thinking, this is not fulfilling. And so I left, and I went to a burger place with a friend of mine in my gown, and I never looked back. I just didn't want to do it anymore. It wasn't for me. It's for others. It's not for me. Not that I ever would have become famous, because I'm not saying, oh, well, because maybe if I had become famous, I would have been like, okay, well, maybe we'll give this a try, but so I don't know if that information is at all interesting but yeah, so I did the Hollywood thing, but now it's like I tend to do more directing for the tech industry, and sometimes for myself, and then of course my little videos online, and some of them get watched, but a lot of them don't.
Well, you say little, but
they're passion projects,
Yeah.
You say they're little, but they're like 2 hours long, 2-hour dissertations about cloud strife. So I mean, it's not little. But I guess one of the things I bring it up, and I wanted to talk to you about, like being a creative, like, and like growing up that way, like how do you combat, like, because I feel like I have creativity ADD, where it like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing, and like, okay, like I'm done doing that thing, I have to move on. Like, how do you combat that? Like, do you try to actively combat that to feel like, no, if I'm gonna be creative, I'm gonna work on this one thing and perfect it? Or do you just like, all right, move on to the next thing, because the next thing will be more fulfilling than trying to, like, beat this thing into submission, if that makes any sense?
So when you say this thing, are you talking about a project, or are you talking about a skill?
Well, I would say either or, because like for me, I have this weird thing that I like I hyper focus on one thing at a time that like pops into my head. It's like, all right,
I mean, that's good. I'd say that's how you get better, right?
Right. But then you hit that point where you're like, okay, I'm done with this. Time to move on to the next thing. And it's like, oh, you never really master that one thing, because like my mind is like, all right, on to the next thing. because this thing is just kind of done and out of the way. Like, do you have that issue, or are you just able to like compartmentalize like all the different things that you do, and then like, all right, this is the next thing I need to focus on, so we'll focus here?
I think it's more B than A. I tend to focus project by project, and then I try to learn something from every project, right? So like, for instance, so that way it's creatively fulfilling in a couple different ways. I create something that I like, but I also learned a skill that I can utilize again. But it doesn't have to be like completely mastered. It just has to be mastered enough to consider myself advanced to be able to use it again. Like,
right.
If that makes sense. Like an example that comes to mind is I was asked to make a video introducing a product for a tech company, and they suggested, oh, maybe do an animation, right? And I have a little bit of art in my background as like drawing and doing some animation. When I was a kid, I would actually create animations on computer for fun because my dad bought me software, and we don't need to go into that. Anyway, once upon a time when I was a young, sorry.
We will not edit this part out, so it is okay.
But I think like, anyway, for this video, I learned how to use the character animator that Adobe makes, which I'd never used before, where it actually follows your face. And then I learned how to actually go in and change all of the mouth and everything. So it basically created an animation with characters, which I'd never done before. And I didn't have to do it that way, but I wanted to do it that way because while I thought it would be a good end product for them, it would also be very fulfilling for me to learn, if that makes sense. And I thought that I could do it. I'm like, I think I've got enough skills to make this work. So I don't know if that answers your question. I tend to move from project to project and try to pick up skills along the way. I do a lot of things in the creative world, but outside of the creative world, like with cooking, ballet, which is in the creative world, like those things I suck at. So it's not like I could do all the things, you know, I'll never get good at ballet ever. Like, it's not in my DNA. Some things we just can't do, you know?
Yeah. No, I
can't teach a deaf person to be an opera singer. You can't teach Jolie to be a ballet dancer. Not happening.
Me either. But it's always interesting to me to like talk to people that are creative, to see what their process is, how they deal with like the slumps of just being like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, and like trying to break through that and continue to push on and continue to get better at your craft, because it seems like it's different for everyone. And it's just something that always interests me, is like what drives people to continue to create. Especially when it's like it's tough to create, especially when it's like, hey, I want to put this on the internet and I want this to like get all the likes, and I want to, you know, so it's tough to have that mentality and be like, you know, what continues to drive people to do that. So,
well, I think the key is to do it because it's fulfilling for you in those kinds of cases. Like the Final Fantasy review I did that you've referenced, it's like 80 minutes long, which is literally 8 minutes less than like the full-length Lion King movie. So it's basically a feature film, right? And it took me probably 7 months to edit because, you know, I'm a mom and I work full-time in tech in a demanding role. I'm a wife, so and I'm a runner. So it's like, where do I have the time to do editing? It was like I'd have from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock on weeknights, you know, sometime. Right. If church stuff wasn't also there, you know?
Right.
So like, it was a 7-month commitment, and I knew that it might not get any views at all, right? And I even say that in the video. I'm like, this might not ever be seen. And it's sad because sometimes I pull up my analytics and like, no one has seen 1 minute of that video in the last 48 hours or something sometimes. And I'm like, oh, that was so like good, but at the same time, I laugh because I didn't make it for that. It's nice when people see your work, but I had so much fun doing that project every night because it let me relive something that I am obsessed with, as you say, right? Like something that I really enjoy. It was my creative release on my own time, and maybe someday it'll get an audience.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the elephant in the room here, and let's talk about Final Fantasy. So like, why Final Fantasy for you? Was this like, you know, were you always a video game player, like from growing up? Like you always had video games, or was it like, hey, Sephiroth is super hot, and I'm just gonna play this game over and over again. Like,
take the shirt off, man. Woohoo! Those polygon abs.
and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it'll get anybody. So, like, what's your history with video games?
So I'm one of those kind of, I guess we're kind of an odd breed. I'm a female, but I was a tomboy, and I did grow up with video games. So I had an Atari when I was like 6, and it was the single joystick with the orange button.
Yeah.
And it plugged into our computer that you had to, use DOS to get in and whatever. And so when I was 6 years old, I started playing Joust, and I loved Joust. That and Centipede and the classics, Pac-Man, things like that, Donkey Kong. And so I grew up just loving video games. Something about it was really fun for me. And then, played Smash Bros for a while. Of course, the classics. Like, I grew up with Sonic the Hedgehog, all that. And then when I was in high school, I'd never played RPGs, though. They always looked stupid to me when I was a kid. I was like, I'm not going to, go through a menu on a game. It looks, they look lame to me. I'm like, that's confusing, and no. But then, and you'll laugh at this. So I'm LDS, and you know a thing about that, I'm told. And I sent a missionary boyfriend out into the field. So my boyfriend left on a 2-year mission. And the way that it worked then was that when somebody goes on a mission, they basically do not contact their girlfriend or even their family back then. There are strict no contact rules because they need to focus on their mission, right? And I see you nodding. You're like, yes.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different now. It's a lot different now.
Yeah.
It's a lot different.
So I sent him on his mission, and I remember I needed something to fill that time slot, and a friend lent me Final Fantasy VIII. And I must have been so desperate because I never wanted to play it. And I think one day I popped it into my PlayStation 1, and I played Final Fantasy VIII, and I was like, this is awesome. It took me a while to get into it. I was like, this is like a movie. I'm living a movie, but I get to control it. And I thought it was so cool. And I maxed out all my characters. And then when it was over, I'm like, there's a 7? There's an 8. There has to be more than this. I played 7, and I worked my way backwards because 8 was I think the most recent one at the time. Mm-hmm. So then I played 6, and then 5, and then I played 4, and I put 100 hours into 4, and then I got stuck in a glitch wall. I literally got stuck in a wall. Could not get out. And you couldn't do multiple saves back then, so that was it. I never beat 4. I put 100 hours into it, and then I got stuck in a wall. So,
oh man. And
then from there, it's just been I don't have, because I'm doing all these other things, I don't have a lot of time to dedicate to video games like I want to. So I can only play one at a time. And so when there's a new Final Fantasy I haven't played, that's the game I go to.
So question in chat. I'm supposed to ask you what you named Cloud in Final Fantasy VII. Is
that my freaking husband?
It might be.
I hate you, Spencer. Oh, okay. So that's funny you should ask. So my boyfriend, who I did not marry, came home from his mission and was like, marry me. And I'm like, no, I don't feel that way anymore. So it didn't work out.
I met this guy named Sephiroth.
But yeah, right. But when I was playing Final Fantasy VII, I named Cloud DLT, which were the initials of my missionary boyfriend. And then I named Aerith, but it, they keep, Aerith Joe, because my name's Jolie, because I thought that Aerith and Cloud would end up together.
Oh, do you?
And then, I don't know, spoiler alert, that wasn't what happened. And I was like, what?
I was going to say spoiler alert, but...
Yeah, it didn't work out.
So did the game influence your life, or were you he came back and you're like, no, I can't do it because in the game they didn't get together, so now we can't be together, and you crushed his spirit?
Or not, it was probably just prophetic, except I didn't get stabbed, thankfully, yet.
Not yet, yeah.
Yet. That's too funny.
So
that's a good story.
That was good. We will leave that one. We will leave that one in. So we will give Jolie a time to catch her breath here, and we'll catch up with what Mike has been doing, and then we'll get into the news of the week, and then we have a pretty awesome quiz at the end of the show here that we'll do. So, Mike, what have you been up to?
All right, so we said at the top of the show, today is my birthday, and for my birthday, my family got me an Oculus Quest 2, and it was my first foray into VR. So I've been playing a lot of VR with the boys. I have 2 older kiddos, and we've been on the VR a bunch. We played Tales from Galaxy's Edge was one of the first ones that we got because we're all about Star Wars in our family right now. We got a bunch of little Jedis running around. Yeah, it's super fun, super awesome world to be in, right? You get to play with a lightsaber. So any game that gives you a lightsaber, you're good to go, right? So we played that. We finished it. It's not a very long game. It's about 3 hours through VR. We figured going through all the stuff, and so it's not really a letdown, but it's kind of a letdown because I would expect it to be longer. But then I also understand, like, do I want to spend 10 plus hours with a VR headset on? Because you can only go in short bursts. I found I get about an hour before my head starts to feel funny. I need to take it off, get my bearings, kind of thing. So maybe that time frame is about accurate for VR games. At least this one. Steve has a thought, but I'm gonna keep going. So it was fun for us. The kids got to play it, which was fun for them. And then the big thing now in the house is Beat Saber. Because talk about like dual wielding lightsabers, right? And then again, just the music and just playing with that and doing the challenges. And it's fun to do Beat Saber. My oldest was able to have his friends over and they had a Beat Saber competition. It was just fun to watch them just go through some wholesome content. Nothing crazy, just hitting a bunch of blocks with sticks. And so it was super fun. So Beat Saber is fun. And then I've been trying some other games. I tried a game called Journey of the Gods, and that one looks really cool, but got me sick again because I have in my old age, I'm learning, because I'm so old now, I'm learning that I have some motion issues, and it's awesome when the game is coming to me, but when I'm moving through the game and like controlling my movement that way, it gets me a little bit sick, so I can't handle it very well.
You will have to tell me what kind of game is Journey of the Gods. You will have to.
So
what is it?
So it actually kind of has a Zelda feel to it, right? You're kind of like a sprite type character. You've got a wooden crossbow. You've got a sword and a shield. You're helping kind of like woodland characters. So far I've fought like little slugworms that were trying to get into a house that if I remember right, had like a mushroom top, so kind of like the Smurfs. Okay. So you're in like a woodland realm. You have this ability to grow and become godlike, hence Journey of the Gods. And basically you have 2 different characters. You have your one character who is on the ground level, who is interacting with things. And when you go into your God mode, you can make trees grow. You can move trees to get in the path of enemies. I did not get very far into that one because of the motion sickness. And so I'm going to have to play with those settings. I've learned that playing from a seated position is actually pretty helpful for me. So I might try that again. But it seems cool. I'm not very far into it. I'll have to try it out some more.
It looks it looks like Breath of the Wild. So I think they are definitely drawing inspirations from The Legend of Zelda, like you said.
Yeah, it definitely had that feel to it. So I'll try that one out again. Maybe take some Dramamine beforehand so I'm not woozy and like Captain Jack Sparrowing around, right? Although that could be a fun game too. Been trying a lot of the free demos. It's cool that you're given that ability to demo the games before you actually commit to buy them, because I can definitely understand people buying a game and then not being able to finish because of the motion aspect and getting kind of upset. So doing a lot of the demos. We have a fishing one that is just you're meant to sit down and like fish. I've caught more fish virtually than I ever caught in my entire life.
I was gonna say like you're yeah, you like actually want to fish in VR? Like you don't want to fish in real life. Like why would you?
Well, VR, you catch stuff. Like there's a guarantee. That's the game, right? Fishing is like, okay, give me your $24 for your fishing license and go get them. Stop the kids from throwing rocks into the lake right where you're fishing, because kids are really responsive with that. They don't like throwing stuff into the lake. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Not a single one does.
Yeah. Not a single one does. It's terrible. So I'm fishing, right? And I'm sitting there. But like I said, I only last about an hour before I kind of have to disconnect myself. My eyes start to twitch out and stuff. But I hope we get more Star Wars content because it seems like that's where it's at, right? Like starships and lightsabers and using the Force, like super, super fun stuff.
Is Beat Saber like the best Star Wars game on there?
I don't think so. I did pick up the Vader Immortal, the first chapter of that, and gonna pick up second and third chapters to play through that. That is super fun, great storytelling. Again, it's just being in that world that VR offers you. And like I said, you get to handle a lightsaber. So there you go. And I really want one of those next. I think I'll get a lightsaber next.
I agree.
They're just cool.
Everyone should have one.
And I probably won't cut off an appendage with it. I mean, I'll be super careful.
You won't immediately stare down the barrel of the lightsaber.
Right? So I've been doing that. That's my foray into VR stuff. And then just some of the other things we've been doing that is kind of a big thing right now, right? Wanda Vision's we're 3 episodes into that, and it's weird and awesome, but then like weird again, but then like I guess this could be cool, but then you're like, no, that's weird. So I think really it's just weird.
We're all trying to convince ourselves that there's something more to it.
Is it good? I haven't seen any of it. Is it?
We're all asking ourselves that question. Is it good?
Okay.
It's good, yeah. Right? Because everything has been good so far that we're like, oh, they're putting it out. It must be good. But I don't know if it's good yet. So we won't spoil anything here. Stay tuned. Exactly. Totally. Because you got to catch up on 3 episodes now because we're 3 episodes in. And for me, anyway, it feels like something is happening now in episode 3. So I'm feeling a little bit better about where it's going. The first 2 set up the world. And by set up the world, I mean confuse the heck out of you. And I think that's what you're supposed to be feeling. So you're going to be confused, but you're going to like it.
You think you're going to like it.
You think you're going to like it. So definitely check out WandaVision if you haven't checked out WandaVision. And then one of the things that Steve and I have been getting into, we've been following the GameStop stock thing that's been going on and have kind of jumped on that roller coaster. And it's just cool to be a part of it, right? Even if like you end up breaking even at the end, it's just cool to be a part of it and say, yeah, I was there when that happened. And you know, here's your 5 cents. Go buy me a soda pop kind of thing. So it's just cool.
It's definitely.
Wait, did you guys both put money in?
We did.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're going to the moon. Like Mike said, there's definitely this part of like, hey, we were there when this happened kind of thing. So, and just like, I've done a lot of deep dives onto Reddit, onto the Wall Street Bets, like into like deep value subreddits and like keeping up on it, just trying to learn like what is going on. Because at first I was like, wow, this is really interesting. Because I heard about it last week about everyone talking about GameStop. And like I've been on the Robinhood app, you know, for about 2 years now, just like investing a little bit here, a little bit there, like never really paying attention to it. But all of a sudden it just kind of blew up. And I think mostly because it kind of crossed over into the Venn diagram of the things that we're interested in, of like video games and like making money. So it's like, all right, like I've got a little bit of cash that I can afford to lose. Let's put it in here. Let's watch it and see what it does. And like, so far it's like, it's making money. And I'm like, is it really this easy to make money? I know it's not. Like, I'm not a financial advisor, but it's been really cool to like, also it kind of has this like stick it to the man kind of vibe going on to where like these big hedge funds have like, you know, screwed people over in 2008 and took everyone's life savings, and now it's kind of like, hey, Reddit is going to stick it to the man now. So it's kind of like
Reddit's going to bring down Wall Street.
And you know, it's got the presidency saying, hey, we're going to look into GameStop, which is I don't think anything a president has ever said in their life, but now the president's going to look into GameStop. Yeah,
I didn't hear that part. Biden said something about GameStop?
Yeah, they tweeted today that they were going to have their people look into it. I don't know what that means. There's a lot of people, you know, talking about stock manipulation, but it's like, see, I talk about it like I'm on this one side of it, so I shouldn't even say
You're like
anything.
An insider.
I feel like an insider.
Well, it definitely,
with my...
like you said, it has this like us and them mentality, right? Because like hedge funds are losing money and Wall Street is losing money, but everybody with the Robinhood app is like making money, and people who go into GameStop, right? And so it's just kind of a weird. It's cool to be on the train and see where it goes. I don't know what it's going to turn into, or if what we're doing is illegal. I hope not.
It's
But
not. You're
it's
buying
just- it's
you're
just
buying
fun to be
stock.
there.
It's not illegal.
No,
No, I do. I
I've
do
never
know.
done this before.
You bought stock on Robinhood before, and you didn't get arrested for it. I don't know why it'd be different now. So it's not illegal what you're doing, but it is very much like a David versus Goliath thing. Like, hey, all these Redditors are memeing their way to these hedge funds going bankrupt. And it's like, should I feel bad that the hedge funds are going bankrupt? Maybe, but I don't. So, hey, we're going to the moon. So there you go. I don't know if we are going to the moon, but I'm on that train.
So we'll see.
What does GameStop think of this? Are they like freaking out because they're afraid it's going to obviously tank at some point?
So
all the research that I've done says that they got a new CEO within the last 6 months or so who is kind of changing things up, and I, again, since I don't know how to read these reports accurately, what it sounds like is he's invested quite a bit of his own capital into this company after he became CEO, and is kind of helping to push that stock high. And then something's happening on the back end with like short selling and things like that. That's where I kind of get lost. And so it's rising, but I don't know to what end. And I think they're okay with it. I would think they'd be okay with it.
There were a lot of factors that went into it that led up to, like, hedge funds bought 140%. They shorted all their shares by like 140% because they were anticipating GameStop dying, and they were going to make money off of GameStop dying. And some investors saw that, hey, okay, these are the circumstances that we find ourselves in now. If we buy here, we'll be able to go up. So it's a very interesting thing to be a part of and to experience. And again, we're not financial analysts, so don't trust anything that we say. But
yeah, definitely don't take it as like anything. Like, we don't want to be responsible for anybody losing, 401ks and stuff, which is probably not a good idea to pull your whole 401k out.
You say that now after I did it, but anyway, you can go ahead and carry on, Mike. What else we got here?
The only other thing that I have started new this week is a Netflix show called The Queen's Gambit. And I thought it was a movie. Steve's like, you got to go watch this. I'm like, okay. So my wife and I sat down thinking it was a movie, and they're like, episode 1 of a limited series. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to have to invest time in this. So we started, and it starts off very kind of like hit you in the face. It's one of those stories that tells us, that like sets up the story, but then does a flashback, which I don't necessarily like that too much. But anyway, so we're flashing back now. And so we're going through these episodes. We're 4 episodes in, and it's really, I don't want to say gripping, because I don't know if we're gripped yet. But it's very interesting. It's done very well. I think it's shot well. It definitely has a very unique feel to it. It's all about chess. And so you kind of have to, it's a thinker. It's one of those thinker movies, I think.
I don't think
it's
it
a
is.
Thinker.
No, I don't
I think it's a thinker.
No.
Well, you've seen it. I'm only 4 episodes in, but it definitely,
You're like halfway
because
done.
chess is a thinking man's right? A thinking man's game, right? So you got to think to be able to play chess. I never was good at chess, like, ever. I was too symmetrical in my movements. Like,
look at this pretty board I made. I should be winning.
And that's exactly what it was. My knights would move in unison. My rooks would move. I was never good at chess. Shoots and ladders was more my speed. I'm definitely better at shoots and ladders than I am chess. So there was a shoots and ladders championship, I'd be there. I can spin a spinner.
Do you want to bet that there's a shoots and ladder championship?
There probably is. There probably is. My youngest daughter is 3, and she loves playing games, loves playing board games. So, and we only had Candyland and Jenga for the longest time. And there's only so many times you can kind of stack those cards for the game to be over quickly. Because as much as I love my kids, like, that Candyland board is long. It's a long board. So, you kind of, anyway, so I ended up picking up Kerplunk. That's a fun one. right? Marbles and sticks and clinking and clanking. Holds a 3-year-old's attention span really well. So we picked up Connect 4 also and Kerplunk, and those are fun to play. Very tactile games, that are quick games to get over. For all of you young parents out there, find the quick ones. For the olders, we picked up Monopoly, and we've played once, and my kids haven't talked to me since. We played 3 weeks ago, and I totally wrecked them. Like I totally wrecked them. Like it wasn't even close. I had hotels on all my properties, and I just wrecked them, and they got bad. It was actually quite comical. So don't play Monopoly with your family. I guess you could if you don't want to see them anymore.
A lot of domestic violence, I think, goes back to Monopoly games, to be honest.
I think so. And if you're wanting to kind of ostracize a part of your family, just invite them over for Monopoly, and it'll do it for you. Like you won't have to anything. Just hey, Aunt Joe or Uncle Frank, right? Because Uncle Frank from Home Alone, he was like the jerk. You'd want to play Monopoly with him, so he would never come over. I'm just saying, right? And I think every family has an Uncle Frank. So yeah. So check out the Queen's Gambit. We'll watch some more episodes tonight, and we'll kind of round it out probably by the beginning of next show, and we'll be able to talk about it. I like it so far. I think it's entertaining. I don't feel like I'm wasting my time. So it's good. If it's good, it's good.
If it's good, it's good. According to Mike.
According to Mike. If it's good, it's good.
I'll go through my stuff really quick. I am close to finishing the first revision of my book, and I'm finishing Cyberpunk tonight, and I'll be glad when that game is done because I am very, very disappointed in where that story goes. So that's what I have been doing besides planning my retirement home on the moon after I win all the money from the stock market. So
I think we have a better chance of colonizing Mars than we do the moon, which begs the question, why haven't we been back to the moon?
Because there's nothing there.
There's nothing on Mars. There's actually more on the moon than there is on Mars.
Physically, I think that's incorrect.
No, we've left more space stuff on the moon than we have on Mars.
Oh, but technically Mars is bigger than the moon, so there's more stuff on Mars than the moon. I thought that's where you were going.
No, that's not where I was going. But the moon is so close.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I'd like to check out the moon. I would go. I'm just saying. I'm not going to spend $55,000.
I got to talk to you about something.
This is Steven cutting me off.
All right, really quick, Microsoft, in a wondrous fashion, completely destroyed all the goodwill they have earned in the last year under the direction of Phil Spencer and decided to up the prices of Xbox Gold. So the 6-month subscription went up from $30 to $60, and no one exactly knows why. People can guess that they maybe were trying to drive people to go play or to pay into the Game Pass subscription, which I guess would be a good idea. But then when you're like, what if people don't want Game Pass and now those people are being punished and having to double their subscription to play online games with people? So this was just a really weird move. Later that day, they said, just kidding, haha, see you later. So they kind of backtracked on that, but it was just kind of a weird move that Xbox pulled this last week, and I don't exactly know why they thought it was going to be a good idea to do that.
Are you looking for an answer more sophisticated than to make more money?
No, I'm not. Not anymore.
Okay, so you think about everything that they've purchased over the last few years, right?
Hold on. Before you continue,
somehow.
I want to address something in the chat. So Mulehorn Gaming, Mulehorn, thanks for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. Mentions that Mike is a moon conspiracy theorist. I think Mulehorn said that as a joke, not realizing that you really are a moon conspiracy theorist, that we have not been to the moon.
I am not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying we haven't been back. Have we ever been? I don't know.
I kind of see that more as a been there, done that. Like, what else can you do if you go back? Collect more rocks that are the same?
Start colonizing?
Who wants to live on the moon? Have you seen the pictures of the moon? It's like gray and sad.
Jolie.
That's because that's the lighting they had in the studios at the time.
Have you
seen studio lighting.
Yeah.
Have you seen Earth in 2020?
The flag was blowing in the wind too, and it's like a wire that's distinctly like in the flag.
No, but let's, now that you we're going down a rabbit hole now
Here we
because
go.
Sorry.
Mule's not gonna like this. All right. So I know that there's a rod in the flag to hold it up. Okay. I really do think we went to the moon. I've got nothing. I got nothing.
But in Mike's defense, you know what? Like, I would rather live in the moon than on Earth sometimes. So there is that as well.
Well, it depends
There
who's
is
on the
that.
moon with you.
You can take your favorite book, your favorite actor, and your favorite candy bar. So what do you go with?
Favorite book, favorite actor, and favorite candy bar?
Yep, that's all you get.
How many candy
Lifetime
bars?
Your favorite one. Your lifetime supply. You can't really have a lifetime supply of your favorite actor. That's weird.
No, I meant the candy bar.
But you have a lifetime supply of your favorite candy bar.
Is the
And
actor
you're on the moon.
Is your favorite actor forced to like you and be your best friend, or just like, no, you
No,
stay over
they
on
go
this side
they
of the
go
moon?
as is.
What
they
a
go
weird,
as is.
What a weird set of circumstances.
It's a weird game. It's a weird game, and it's what I came up with like just now. And in the chat, feel free to play along. So
Are we supposed to answer?
Yeah, so so I'll start off while you guys are thinking. So inside my favorite book is a hollowed out section with a Swiss Army knife.
That's
My favorite book is How to Build a Spaceship. Okay.
Did you guys hear that Vicarious Visions has merged into Blizzard this week? This was big news because Vicarious Visions, previously known for a lot of video games, but they recently made the remake for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, which everyone was like freaking out like these are really awesome remakes, and Vicarious Visions did an awesome job on that. Vicarious Visions also, if I'm not mistaken, was they were kind of seen as like the successor to Bungie when Bungie left Activision when they split. But now Vicarious Visions is no longer Vicarious Visions. They are now going to be merged into Activision Blizzard. And everyone is like super bummed out about this because Activision Blizzard doesn't have like the best track record right now because of a lot of the things that they've been doing. I mean, Overwatch 2 is going to release sometime, but we haven't heard anything about that. We had the whole Diablo 4, Diablo Immortal debacle. I almost said Diablo-acle, but that doesn't make sense. That's not a word that you can say.
I mean, you can say it. It's just not a word.
I will say it.
we can make it a word.
It's the Diablo-acle. Diablo-acle. So now there's rumors that they are going to be pushed to do more remakes for Blizzard. So a lot of people are bummed out about this. A lot of people are excited about this because maybe then Blizzard will be producing some good stuff, but I don't know. It remains to be seen how this team will be divided up, how they will help out. But the other interesting thing about this is that there was a report that there's a Diablo 2 remake in development at the reorganized Blizzard. So there's speculation that maybe Vicarious Visions is working on this, and considering their track record of remakes, it might be really good. But also, it's like, it's a Diablo 2 remake, so do we really need a Diablo 2 remake? The Warcraft 3 Reforged remake was awful. They kind of botched that release, which is really sad, because Warcraft 3 is an amazing video game that everyone should go play. So yeah, like, weird stuff going on over at Blizzard Activision, and it kind of makes me sad that Activision...
They are hiring, though.
I bet they are.
There's a link on their website, Careers at Vicarious Vision, so there you go.
What are they hiring for?
Looks like they're hiring all positions. You can choose your mission. Art and animation, design, engineering, production, quality assurance and operations, and internships and co-op opportunities. Co-op opportunities. Co-opportunities. Co-opportunities.
Where are they located? Blizzard is down the street from me, but where?
Vicarious Visions is apparently, I just saw it in New York. I'm gonna have to double check that. A game development powerhouse in upstate New York.
I did not know this.
Yeah, pretty cool. I might check them out. I don't know what I would do there. Probably I could speculate about the moon.
Yeah, you could do that. That's the thing you could definitely do over there. All right.
Hired.
Hired. Steve doesn't have any confidence in my abilities to talk about the moon.
I do not. Like, you gave up really quick. You gave up really quick.
I know. I had nothing. I kind of fizzled out. I got self-conscious. It happens.
I understand. All right. So that is some of the news that has been happening. So, I mean, there's other stuff in the news, but is it interesting? Probably not. I'm more interested in like seeing how many boats I can buy to fly to the moon. All right. So one thing that I do want to do. So Jolie, you are a Disney.
Fly.
This one, well, trust me. Well, you call them ships. So if they're in space, does a ship fly or does it float? And these dumb questions.
Truly, you have a dizzying intellect.
we got a weird question in chat that I'll probably I'll answer that later. So Jolie, you are a former Disney spokesperson. Michael is a Disney fanatic. Can you tell us what a Disney spokesperson is and does, or like what kind of superpowers come along with that?
So, sure. The title, they're known as the Disney Ambassador, or we're known as the Disney Ambassador, and it's a 2-year position. It's you go through like a 3-month selection process, and then they pick 2 people to serve for 2 years, basically. And your responsibilities throughout that is just to do everything to be the face of the Walt Disney Company, if that makes sense. So it was like a lot of TV and radio interviews, a lot of hosting and emceeing different ceremonies or executives, pretty much, and then doing a lot of like charity work in the community and teaching. And every single day was completely different. You don't have like a set schedule. Sometimes I'd be traveling for a few weeks and then I'd be back, and it was awesome. It was a dream come true. Extremely grueling pace, right? And as the spokesperson for Disney, you have to have your hair a certain way, your nails a certain way. You can't leave the house. Like, it's in your contract. You can't post anything political on social media or religious. I had to get special permission to speak in church, like to my congregation. So it was super intense. You could only wear certain colors. So yeah, it was intense, but I mean, it makes sense if you think about it, because Disney is a big brand and they have everything very specific as to what they want to, how they want to be seen in the public eye. So when you take on the Disney Ambassador name or title, then you agree to be that person. And they try to pick people who are naturally what they're looking for anyway. I don't know. Somehow I made it through the cut. but it was awesome. It was a total dream job. 2 years is plenty, because I think I would have died if I would have gone, because it's just so grueling. I mean, on call 24/7. You never know when you're going to have to talk to the news or something,
Is that something like the president, like when after you're done being the president, you still have like Secret Service following you around so you don't like release the secrets of the House of Mouse?
Definitely no Secret Service at all. Never have. I had to fight off all of the fanboys with my own fists. No, I'm just kidding.
Nice.
They're not fanboys. But no, you become a former ambassador when your term ends, right? So now I'm in like this club of people that are former ambassadors. I don't know. Walt Disney picked the first one, and then so it's this
is there
historic thing that Disnoids freak out.
Is there is there a microphone or camera in that Mickey Mouse behind you to like monitor like everything?
It feels like it, kind of. And so it's like this.
Yeah.
Because back then, like the mouse, it always felt like the mouse was watching, right? I went to the pharmacy once without my hair and makeup done, and I like put a hat on, and I really thought I was going to
they were going to find you.
Yep. Yeah. I did it once. I know. It was nuts, but it was cool.
That sounds very cool. It does answer my question, and it leads into the segue to prove yourself, Jolie, as a Disney ambassador in Mortal Kombat against Mike. Well, let's not do Mortal Kombat. Let's just do a fun Disney quiz to see who is the Disney champion on this podcast.
I'm gonna bomb this quiz.
I bet you'll do well. I don't know anything about Disney.
For weeks.
I left Disney in 2013, so.
Michael has never left Disney, so he is there in spirit right now. All right,
One should never leave Disney, honestly.
Right? It's tough to leave Disney. There's so much of it in your house that you don't really realize, but like
everywhere.
everywhere.
Except for that money part. Maybe that money part has something to do with it. Eventually,
the Disney money, they don't let
that.
that. They're Scrooge McDuck with that. That's in a money bin somewhere.
No. All right. So this quiz, for weeks, I painstakingly curated a bunch of questions. For some reason, that echoes back. All right, now it's gone. All right, here we go. Mulehorn
Wait. What are the rules to this? So
I will tell you the rules in a second. I will tell you the
Okay.
rules. Don't get ahead
Just
of me.
making sure.
Mulehorn Gaming says, I can't wait to take my kids there one day. Like, do it, Mule. Like, you will enjoy it. They will enjoy it.
Yeah, when
Someone
they
will
open
enjoy it.
again, I feel bad. They closed down and like 500 of my friends lost their job in one day. It was so
It's
sad.
instantly, man. It's
Yeah,
so
it was
sad.
so
It
quick.
really is.
We just went to a depressing
Okay.
place.
We
That
did,
was sad.
and I don't know if there's any sign of reopening soon. So
So
You just went to where?
it's sad.
We just
Well, I
went
was just
to-
saying we went to a dark place on it. We got all.
we got
Oh,
all
yeah, I know,
job
sorry.
lossy.
Let's bring it back up
Bring
with the
down the
quiz.
center.
That's my terrible answer.
All right, here we go. The rules of the quiz. Wade says Wade will probably die when he goes into Star Wars land. He'll just pass out and die. Okay, here we go.
That is pretty rad.
So
It
this
is.
quiz consists of 5 questions. I will read the question, and Michael or Jolie, you will call out your name, and the first person to call out their name I will call on, and then you will answer the question. If you answer the question, then you get a point. If you do not answer the question, the other person can still. So, and then they will get the point, and you will not get the point. And the points are made up, and the rules don't matter. So here we go. Are you ready? So all you have to do is call out your name. So if you remember your name, call it out, and then we'll start this quiz. So here we go. Question the first. Which ride is at every Disney park? At every Disney park. There is a ride that is at every one of them. Jolie.
Is Dumbo?
That is correct. Dumbo, the flying elephant, is at every park. Well done. Well done. All right,
There's
point.
2 of them in Florida, right next to each other.
There's 2 Dumbo
Two
rides?
Dumbos?
Yeah, they have dual Dumbos. And it's like a pick a number system.
That's just funny to me. Dual Dumbos. I like it.
All right, so
Dual
here
Dumbo.
we go. Question the second.
They've got that.
I'm going to
Oh,
wait
no.
for this joke.
That is an authentic birthday laugh, Mike. I love this.
Happy birthday to Michael.
I just cracked myself up. I'll share that with you off air. I'm not going to do it here.
I understand. Some things cannot be shared on air. Okay, question the second. According to Eater, I guess Eater is like some sort of outlet or whatever, what is the most popular food at the Disney parks? What is the most popular food at the Disney parks?
Jolie.
Jolie.
It's either turkey leg or corn dog. Or churro. Great.
Or
Mickey pancake.
I like those
Or
Mickey
prime rib.
pancakes.
Like name all the foods.
Just name them all. It's one of those.
What is those?
And this is according to Eater, whoever Eater is.
Eater.
It's a pretty good blog.
There you go.
I
It's
mean,
according
I
to
don't know.
them.
I don't know anything about it. Yeah.
What would it be? It's gonna be something so obvious. It's not the ice cream.
Or is it?
It might be the turkey leg. At least that's a legendary one, even though you don't really see people walking around with the turkey leg, and it tastes like bacon more than turkey. So you're eating it and you're going,
This
I
just
don't know
doesn't
what
taste
I'm
right.
eating, but I think it's meat and it tastes kind of good. So I'm going to keep eating it.
Is that
Right.
your final answer?
Yes.
That is incorrect. It is not
Dang
the
it.
turkey leg. Michael, you have a
All right,
chance
Mike.
to still.
Let's see. So
I need to take a bite of ear.
the most famous, most common. What was the question?
According to Eater, what is the most popular food at the Disney parks?
The most popular food.
Oh, I know what it is. Dang it.
I don't know if I do. I'm gonna go with the most popular. I'm gonna go with Mickey pancake. I don't know.
So, according to Eater, the Mickey-shaped ice cream bar is the most popular food in all
Really? That's not
across
what I
Disney
thought it was.
locations. Yep.
I thought that the popcorn in the like collectible bins. were
Oh
the
yeah.
ones-
You're
So the
always stepping on
collectible bin
that stuff.
popcorns, I swear I see those more than you see. But I guess the ice cream would disappear and melt, whereas the bins would stick around. So maybe that's why I
You're
see
right.
more of them.
It's true.
I
All
don't
right.
let my kids get the popcorn. They always spill it.
All
Well,
right.
and it's like-
Question.
yeah.
Question number 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 3. Which Disneyland ride opened first? The Matterhorn bobsleds or It's a Small World?
It's a small world. Jolie. It's a small world.
This one's going to be tough because if you're wrong, then Mike
Well,
knows
Then
the
I
other
get the
answer.
point, right?
It's a
Then I get
small
the point.
world premiered at the World Fair
In what year?
19. It was, but I thought the Matterhorn wasn't until 72, and I think It's a Small World was in the World's Fair like in 65.
So the Matterhorn bobsleds, the innovative roller coaster, opened in the summer of 1959.
Yeah,
while,
I'm way off.
While It's a Small World debuted at the 1964 World Fair before landing at Disneyland
64.
in 1966.
59 for Matterhorn?
59 for
Really?
Matterhorn. Yep. It's true.
What am I
Unless
thinking of the 70s though?
I don't
Did you know that it has a basketball court inside of it?
I did.
It has a basketball hoop inside of it.
Yeah, it's not really a court. I've
technically
been
a
there.
court.
I've been in it and I'm like, this is the court everybody talks about. Like, this is like the big secret of Disneyland. And it was like wood planks that look like they're about to break. And then there was a hoop on top that like a flat ball was stuck in. You know?
It's funny now that everybody claims like these are the Disneyland secrets, and you read them and you're like,
everybody knows.
I know that.
Yeah.
Like
Why did
these
I
aren't
say
secrets.
70s? Am I thinking Thunder? I'm probably thinking Thunder.
You might be thinking Thunder
My
or
coaster
Space
date.
because they were later.
I know that Matterhorn was one of the first metal coasters. I know that. And
it was also actually the first.
It was built
tubular.
up early, so of course it would be 59. Yeah, that was, man, fail. Don't send that to Bob Iger.
I agree. We will not cut this part out of the show.
We will not send it
Thank
to
you.
Bob.
So we will give a point to Mike there just
He like
because
tipped
of
over behind me like
Yeah.
in shame.
cover his
His
head.
eyes start glowing red.
Yeah.
All right, question number 4. Now we are all tied up with 2 questions to go. This one's easy. In what year did Disney California Adventure open? Also known as DCA.
Oh man. Mike.
A Mike. An unsure Mike.
I'm unsure, but I think it was the date sticking out of my head is 1992, but I don't think that that's correct. But that's the only date that's coming to my head.
That is incorrect. You were correct that you were incorrect. So well done on
Do
being
I get
incorrect.
a point for that?
You do not get a point for being incorrect. Can Jolie still?
So this is the thing though. DCA is older than what I think it's older than what I think it is and what I remember it being. It is. It's older than what I think it is.
Fabian
don't
in
think
the
it
chat
is
can
that
suggest
old.
that is incorrect.
No, because like, see, I was there for the reopening. We reopened California Adventure with the new layout
The
and
new
car
facade,
plan
yeah.
in 2012. But I think it was after I graduated high school. 2001.
That is correct. 2001.
Woo! Got to redeem myself after that.
Are you
Matterhorn.
sure?
I'm totally sure. This quiz was vetted by none other than me. Question number 5. So I guess I'll have to come up
I
with a
gotta get this one.
tiebreaker if
You
Michael
need
gets
it.
this one.
Maybe if I lose it.
Okay, this one will be difficult. So, and this is asking for rides, not attractions. I am asking for rides. So, how many rides are there in Fantasyland in the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World? Nope. This is how many rides are there at Fantasyland in Disneyland, not Disney World, in Disneyland. And this is just rides in Fantasyland. They're going into the tank. The wheels are spinning. Jolie is using her fingers to count. Michael is using his teeth, which is an odd thing that he does.
Ten.
Mike.
Joey. Dang it! I don't know the rules.
So my math has 13.
That would be.
Oh.
Name them?
Oh, wait.
So these are just rides. So if you say 13, you are incorrect.
By how many?
Wait.
You just can't tell me how many.
Jolie.
Okay, so I will not tell you by how many. So I will say that you are
of course, yeah.
incorrect. And we will give Jolie.
You can let Jolie answer though.
We'll give
I'm
Jolie
not going to say
chance.
10. I'm going to say something different.
Okay.
12. So wait.
Okay, hang on. Before you answer. So let's go through them, right? Let's go through them. So
an Omnimover is considered a ride, just so you know. So if you're not counting Pinocchio, Snow White, Peter Pan, and Mr. Toad's and Alice in Wonderland, this quiz is faulty. I'm just telling you. Those are called rides. I mean, they're called
rides.
Those are included. Those are included.
Okay.
So there are.
We got
so you
Snow White,
Pinocchio,
Alice in Wonderland. These are the dark rides. Peter Pan, and Mr. Toad's, which, by the way, is the best ride in the entire park. And then
false. You have lost 6 points on that. The best ride in the entire park is Peter Pan. I apologize.
Peter Pan's good, but no. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, you get drunk, you get hit by a train. You steal a car, you get hit by a train, and then you end up in hell and it's over. Like, there's no way they'll ever build another ride like that. It's amazing.
It's a
and then you
perfect
get off and you're like,
life.
what just happened?
What just happened?
Yeah,
what did I do?
The best.
You're like, what park did we come to, Dad?
5 dark rides, and then there's Dumbo, there's Casey Jr., there's Storybook Land canal boats, there's the carousel, there's the teacups. Technically, It's a Small World is Fantasyland.
It is Fantasyland.
And I think so is the Matterhorn.
It is, and I believe so is the Autopia.
Autopia's gone. It died a long time ago.
Not the Utopia. The Utopia is the
What?
cars.
I wrote it last year.
Yeah,
never mind. Maybe.
Yeah, the Utopia is in Tomorrowland.
Yeah, that's Tomorrowland.
But
Autopia's
it's
next to
considered.
It is not.
But it's considered a Fantasyland ride.
It's not.
No, it's not.
I think you need to look it up. Or am I thinking Matterhorn? Because Matterhorn had a Fantasyland ride.
It's like Lederhosen and whatever.
But when I was younger, Matterhorn had a Fantasyland entrance and a Tomorrowland entrance, and it was technically in both. Look it up.
Was that when they had converted it into like the Gummy Bears Toon Jamboree thing? Do you remember that? For a little,
I don't remember that.
Oh, for a little while it was like Gummy Bear themed. I'm not even like
Really?
that old cartoon Gummy Bears down
totally.
here. It was like Gummy Bear themed and like Chippendales Rescue Rangers stuff. But anyway,
That's awesome. But I don't ever remember hearing that, and I would hear about that. So Matterhorn actually has a slower track, which is on the Fantasyland side, and a faster, bumpier track, which is on the Tomorrowland side. So there are actually 2 entrances to the Matterhorn.
There's 2 different racks. I'm not.
Yeah.
If one's slightly faster and bumpier, it's not advertised as such. It's more like a. This one's faster. And bumpier.
hey, want to buy an 8? Want to buy an 8? Hey, pick my door.
But wait, no, really, what ride am I forgetting?
So what number did you say, Jolie? You guys?
I said 12.
She said 12. I said 13.
Okay, there are 12. Okay. This list did not have the Mad Tea Party on it, so I had to add it on here.
Oh.
Interesting.
So we have Alice in Wonderland, Casey Jr. Circus Train, Dumbo the Flying Elephant, It's a Small World, King Arthur's Carousel, Mad Tea Party, Matterhorn Bobsled, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, Peter Pan's Flight, Pinocchio's Daring Journey, Snow White's Scary Adventure, and Storybook Land Canal Boats, which was there from the beginning.
For using the whole title, because whenever we did interviews on TV or radio, we had to use the entire title, so it wasn't like Star Tours, it was Star Tours, The Adventures Continue. But when you're having a conversation with a reporter, it feels a little weird to be like, yeah, so when we ride on Star Tours, The Adventures Continue, or Little Mermaid, Ariel's Undersea Adventure. Like, you have to say the whole thing every time. Yeah. Or the Disneyland Resort, not just Disneyland.
Yeah. That's one that I've noticed a bunch. So that's
right.
cool.
So props.
It's weird. It's neat.
So let's say congratulations to Disneyland ex-ambassador Jolie for dominating Michael at this Disneyland quiz. We will give you
I
a
feel like
pause.
when it's your birthday, and I'm really ashamed of my Matterhorn answer. Like, I feel like I need to go and
Repent.
Repent, exactly. Like, I'm sorry.
No, you are totally fine.
I don't know what I was thinking. I'm sorry.
We will send you a Mickey Mouse ice cream sandwich, and
Very
we'll
popular,
be all
I
good.
hear.
Very popular, apparently. I've only had one, I think, in my life.
That's because it's tough to eat ice cream. So
It is tough to eat ice cream.
So that's the quiz. So we can, before we jump into WandaVision, Jolie, I would like for you to plug and tell our listeners where they can find you. If you want to direct them to your Final Fantasy VII Remake deep dive video, you can do that. Or if you want to send them to the Big Compute podcast, where can they find you on the internet?
Well, thanks, Steve. I appreciate that. Let's see, on the internet, I think the place you can find me most is just on my YouTube channel. I'm not a YouTuber per se, but I'm a filmmaker who occasionally will post on YouTube. But I did spend those 7 months like making that Final Fantasy review, and I would love for people who would appreciate it to see it. Not like you don't have to like strap down like your little brother and make them watch it like or anything. Though that's okay too.
That would be weird, right?
But if you do want to see that, like if you're Final Fantasy passionate, then take a look at that. And then the Big Compute podcast, bigcompute.org. I write a lot of the blogs there, and then I host the podcast. You can find me there as well, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Nice.
That was your podcast voice. So you should like totally just take your Final Fantasy Remake video and just like cut it up and put it on TikTok and get all the views on TikTok. That's what I hear are all the cool kids are doing.
I am not a cool kid. TikTok and I are like, no.
You could totally do it.
You're not
just
going down
stuff
that road.
on there, but like I just haven't gotten on there. It's I don't know. My attention span's too long, like or something.
You have to embrace the TikTok. All right, so everyone go check out that video if you enjoy Final Fantasy. I hear you're working on a Final Fantasy VI video. Is that correct? Or is that something I just totally made up?
You made that up, but I do love the opera. It's amazing.
I mean, it has to be the best Final Fantasy ever, right? Final Fantasy VI, like undeniable.
It's very good. It's
undeniable,
very good. I
heard
won't say
you
it's
say.
the best one ever.
Diplomatic answer.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm a Disney ambassador. Of course I'm diplomatic.
It's a very Disney answer. So speaking of Final Fantasies, like how excited are you for Final Fantasy 16? Like where is that rate on your, this is the one game I'm going to play in 2022 when it releases probably?
Well, yeah, or like November of 21 even is the rumor, which I don't know that it's going to come that soon. But of course I'm going to play it. It's a Final Fantasy. Now, I'm one of those people, I'm kind of a rare breed. I'm not stoked about like blood and gore. I don't like it. I think it's dumb. So as long as I notice that there's blood in this one and it's rated M, supposedly. So as long as if it's M because they have some of that just as a consequence of what's going on instead of trying to add a bunch of that in there, if that makes sense. Like I don't like violent games that are violent just for the sake of being violent, to draw on that kind of an audience. That's not my thing. But if it's like part of the story and it's not too bad, then I'm okay with it. So I'm waiting. The jury's still out. I'm waiting, to see. I mean, we haven't had the game yet, but I am excited to play it. It looks like the story might be really cool. Hopefully it makes sense in the end. Few of them do. So
yeah, I don't know why you're hoping for that. It will most definitely not make sense at the end, but you're right. This is like the first one that we've ever had like an M rating on, and also like I'm excited for it because we're finally going back to like the fantasy roots of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, kind of like a medieval castles and knights kind of feel, which is cool. We haven't had that since really, 9 was that way. It's the last big one to be that way.
I guess we get it in the MMO, but I don't really like consider it as the mainline title. So
yeah.
But cool. I am excited for that. So yes, everyone go check out Jolie's YouTube channel and get into Final Fantasy VII Remake. And hey, for those of us that haven't played it yet, we'll get to play it in April on PCs. So since it's still a Sony exclusive for a year, which is super dumb, but that'll be a lot of fun.
Dumb.
Cool. Jolie, do you want to hang out with us while we talk about WandaVision and spoil WandaVision?
I've never seen it, so I'll just sit here with a weird look on my face. Should I let you guys have that conversation without me?
you could totally like ask us questions and like be like, hey, I'm the person that hasn't seen this yet. Would I be into this? So you can totally hang out. It'd be weird if I cut you off. Yeah, because if I kicked you out of the call.
What's it about? Isn't it like a Marvel?
Are
Disney
you?
Plus? I don't know anything about it, Rick, except that you messaged me that you were going to talk about it, and I was like, oh, cool. What?
Are you not a Marvel fan?
I am a Marvel fan to an extent. I think it's fun, popcorn movies, and it's Disney, and I love Spider-Man. Big fan of Spider-Man. I think that the Thor movies are really good. They're fun.
Have you seen them all? Are you caught up on the MCU up until this point?
Most of them. I'm trying to think if there's one that I haven't seen. My husband and I watched the ones that I hadn't seen recently. I'm sure there are some that I haven't seen, though.
So specifically, have you seen Age of Ultron?
Which one's that?
That's the one with James Spader as the bad guy.
He's a robot.
He is a robot.
Spencer, if you're listening to this, have I seen that one?
So
message me on WhatsApp. Hurry.
Spencer in chat says probably not. She doesn't watch the MCU really. She says
that's funny.
He says this is a really bad idea in chat, so I think we'll go with it. So here we go with our Wanda Vision section of the podcast. All right, so this is episode 3 of WandaVision, and I actually think that of the shows to start out with, this show is probably the best for new people. I've got the echo coming back, and it's like really tripping me out, and I don't know where it's coming from. So
right after you played a soundbite, so it has something to do with that.
It's got a weird loop for that. Let's test Mike's theory. Now is the time where we play our WandaVision portion of the show. WandaVision. And now I will talk to see if I have an echo, but it doesn't sound like it's there. So, Mike, your theory is out. Okay, so
it's the only thing. Anyway. All
right, Mike, you start. I talk or you talk? You talk.
Who talks first? You talk first.
You talk first. I'll talk first. So, Jolie, I think that for someone that this is an easy show to get into. It's not very long. It's very short. If you enjoy old sitcoms like I Love Lucy or Dick Van Dyke Show or Brady Bunch, this is something that you could easily jump into and feel right at home. It's also a show that I don't think you necessarily need to have the huge MCU background, or you do not need to know the MCU like you know Final Fantasy VII in order to enjoy WandaVision. It's something that you can just jump into and have fun with, or you can choose. I think it's interesting because you can choose to engage with the content as deep as you want. You can be the person that like goes back and reads all the Vision comics and tries to figure out like what the crap is going on, or you can just say, hey, let's turn this on. It's from Marvel. I'll enjoy it, and you're good to go. So I think as far as that goes, like this show is easy for anyone to jump into. Mike, would you agree with that, or would you call me a liar?
No, I wouldn't. I would call you a straight up liar.
I understand.
Maybe not a straight up liar, but there are some things, there are some stepping stones that you do need to have, and there are some things that you need to understand. Right? You need to understand that Wanda is enhanced, right? In the MCU, so she's got powers. We can't say that. They don't own those.
So she is a person.
She is a person. Wanda is a person.
I didn't know that. I didn't know if it was like a company name. Like
so her name is Wanda Maximoff.
Okay.
Yeah. She's Wanda Maximoff from the country, from the city, the town of Sokovia. She's from Sokovia, and she had a brother. And they were twins, and they were taken and they were experimented on, and they had powers.
Are they at the end of?
Yes, they are.
Of one of the movies I've seen.
Mm-hmm. They are at the end of one of the movies. Wanda is better known as the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And she's the one with the Jack Sparrow hands. And the red and
she has a thing with the Cyclops guy, Jewel guy.
So his name is Vision. And now we've come full circle, and it is Wanda Vision. See how we did that there?
Can I change this segment, and can we just have Jolie explains Marvel characters as a segment? Is that something that we can do? Because I think that would be
so.
Vision
is a robot, and he was created by Tony Stark and Ultron in the movie Age of Ultron, and he was enhanced with the Mind Stone.
Wait, who's Ultron? I forgot.
He's the bad guy played by James Spader, the one whose neck
Oh
always
yeah,
goes like
that
this.
guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By James Spader.
That's how he talks in Blacklist, anyway. He's always looking sideways at the camera. It's very
That's
odd.
how he talks in Age of Ultron also.
That is true.
Vision, unfortunately, was killed in
Whoa,
Avengers.
spoiler alert.
I think we all know this part.
Fair
he was
enough.
killed in Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah, because he but so many people were. He dissolves into the.
But
No, he was dead.
Not this one.
Oh, he was dead.
Thanos grabbed the stone out of his head and
Oh
pulled it
yeah,
out.
I remember that. I was like, owie. Okay, yes, I remember. Thank you for starting my
There's
memory.
in MCU. There's
I
dead,
watched it now. I
and then
know.
there's mostly dead.
I swear my Final Fantasy review is better than the way I am right now.
There was
So
this guy
Vision
named
is
Squall.
dead, and he was and in Dickens' terms, Vision was dead to begin with, right? That must be made clear, right? He was dead from the beginning. So he's dead, he's gone, he didn't come back. He wasn't able to come back when Tony Stark saved the world. Spoiler alert, Tony Stark saves the world, okay? So Vision is not alive. And that's like the first little
In Wanda Vision?
Well, see, in the timeline, right? In the timeline, because Vision's gone. And that's the first thing that you kind of have to, what's happening here, because he's supposed to be dead, right? So that's the first little thing. So,
Okay.
Yep, that's the look you need to give as soon as the episode turns on, because you see Vision and you're like, wait a second, he's supposed to be dead. Episode 1 opens up very I Love Lucy, very much black and white, very that whole kind of setup, punchline, laugh track, right? So that's kind of what you get into on episode 1. A lot of cool things happen there. The hinge of that episode
Is it
when
supposed to take place in the past? What's the point of the black and white?
We don't know yet. That's what we're leading up to. See, we don't know all the
So it's not like an obvious period piece episode.
Nope. It's definitely a put on your Sherlock Holmes Deerstalker cap to figure out what is going on here.
Okay.
That's exactly what we're going for. All right? I don't know. We'll see. Okay. So episode 1, there's a hinge when Vision's boss starts to choke, and the characters make a very distinct 180 on how they're acting in the episode. Okay? And so that's like your first little what is going on here. Something's amiss in the world of Wanda Vision. What's the town called? Pleasantville?
You keep
Forest
talking
Harbor?
and I'll let you know.
You look that up, right? So now we go. So that's episode 1, and then we open up with episode 2, which gives us a very Bewitched opening, right?
Westview.
So now we're in the era of almost color, and kind of different.
Still modern, but it's modern.
Modern-ish.
It's taking place in modern time, but it's being shot as though it was shot in the 70s.
We don't know that.
60s.
We don't know that.
Wait,
yet.
what cars are they driving? Are they driving an old car or a new car?
They are. So in episode 1, they're driving. Everything is 50s style. Everything.
Oh,
clothing.
well, that makes it feel like a period piece.
But then episode 2 switches to the 70s.
What?
I'm sorry. The 60s.
60s.
And everything is period piece to that. Episode 3 is now Brady Bunch and the 70s, and we jump to in color. The first 2 episodes are black and white. Now we're in color.
So is 80s going to be Saved by the Bell, or is that more 90s?
That's more 90s.
That's probably more 90s. That's probably 90s-ish. 80s. What would be an 80s sitcom?
80s sitcom.
Brady Bunch.
No, that's more 70s.
Then it would be Full House. Let's see, 80s sitcom.
Full House was 90s.
Saved by the Bell might be 80s.
I think it was a little bit older.
Growing
than
Pains. Growing Pains would
Growing
be the
Pains?
80s. One Day at a Time. Benson.
Wonder
The Facts
Years,
of
probably.
Life.
I bet it's going to follow
Wonder Years.
It's probably
Yeah,
going to
but
be Wonder Years.
That's tricky, though, because Wonder Years is emulating an earlier time period in itself. Right?
Oh, I guess that's true. That's true, right?
Wonder Years was 68 to 73.
So we'll have to see. And that's and again, that's another thing that we're trying to figure out. Like, what is going on with the jumps? Why is this happening?
So what about the characters? Are they the same characters in every episode?
So far, yes. Episode
Are they
3,
aging at all?
No. They're
So
not.
the
They're
characters
staying
are remaining
consistent.
the same. Are
Mhm.
they all Avenger characters, superhero power people, or are they regular people too?
So far we don't know until episode
Oh.
3, where we get the introduction of another character who we've actually met before. Okay, so are you caught up with Captain Marvel?
I know of her existence, and I saw her lead the women to victory in the
In
last.
Endgame, right? In
Yes,
Endgame. Okay,
yes, I know
so
of
this
her.
so this doesn't. So you don't need to know anything about her because she's not in this one. What you
Oh,
need to
okay.
know is her best friend's daughter.
Best friend's daughter. Who's her best friend's daughter?
Her best friend's daughter in that movie, she was the little girl who she didn't have a huge part, but she was there.
She
That
colored.
does not help me. What?
It doesn't help. It doesn't
There's
help
a
us
little girl
either.
in the movie who was there. What
Who was
little
there?
girl? Like when?
So her story, Captain Marvel's story, is that she was a human, got imbued with powers, who now is a superhero, who had a best friend while they were in the Air Force, and this best friend ended up having a daughter. And that's really all we
Oh,
know.
okay. Okay.
There are a few scenes with her, but really we don't know much about her until she shows up as a grown woman on episode 3 of Wanda Vision. And I didn't know this before. I had to look it up later when I was doing some research. But that's who that is. The big thing that happens in this episode is that apparently this character who is known by Wanda as Geraldine, but that's not her real name. Her real name is Monica Rambeau. Okay.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. Because reasons. She starts asking about Wanda's past. Okay, and that's the first time that we have anybody talk to Wanda about her past. And then the cinematography changes. We get kind of some shaky cam going. The music changes. So we as an audience know that Wanda is starting to like understand that this may not be reality.
Or she already knows what it is.
So it's a play on words. The title is a play on words. It's Wanda's vision, basically.
It is.
So it's walking you through Wanda's vision, like the way she sees things and what reality is versus what it is not. And the audience is just trying, they're giving you pieces as you go, and hopefully it'll answer questions at the end instead of being like the series Lost, which was terrible.
Which was Lost. No pun intended. But
aptly named.
Right? So the hanging, the teaser, the hook at the end of this episode was that this character, Monica, or Geraldine as known by Wanda, was kicked out of the area where, what's the name of the town, Steve? I can't ever remember.
Westview.
So Westview is this town where all these characters are. And Monica is seen falling to the ground with our modern day vehicles pulling up to her with helicopters flying around. And we see this compound, kind of like the Truman Show type.
Yeah.
Where all of this is happening. And then we're left. Cut to black.
So it's almost like she could have been on different movie sets, almost.
Or I think it's closer to what you postulated, was that we're kind of seeing this world through Wanda's eyes. But now we need to know why. Exactly. Now we need to know why. What's the end game? What is happening here? What are we supposed to know? So
that's interesting. How long is each episode? Are we talking, are these like 22 minute, 48 minute?
22.
So okay.
About closer to 30, maybe 22 to 30, but that kind of range.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not a long watch. It's not something you need to get like really, all right, sit on the couch, get your popcorn, get your blanket, right? So it's pretty quick, and they're pretty dense. Each episode is pretty dense with stuff. And there are people out there who are pausing and slowing down and watching every frame. And
interpreting like every little thing, I'm sure.
Every look, every product placement. So there's that out there for sure. But the major beats are the ones that we covered. And it's interesting where it's going to go. We don't really know where it's going to go, which is kind of the fun part of it. But we're trying to figure out how. So
is it being released like Mandalorian, where it's 1 week at a time?
Yep.
And do we know how many episodes? How many episodes?
I believe there are 8.
Oh.
Steve, is it 6 or is it 8? I think it's 8.
I believe there's 8.
Yep, 8 episodes. And
That's
then
I need to give it a watch.
You do need to give it a watch. It's like jumping on that train, like we said earlier with the GameStop stuff. Because again, with like Mandalorian, it seems like everybody is on the Disney Plus train, and rightly so. It's good stuff. It's great content. It's wholesome. But yeah, now you can catch up at the water cooler.
I think the interesting thing,
my remote water cooler.
Yeah, I guess not everyone's in person.
This podcast is the new
water cooler these days.
There you go. There's your water cooler.
Yeah,
I think it's DC Comics.
I think the interesting thing about the end of episode 3 is that, you know, we have the birth of the twins for Wanda and Vision. So I'm sure that will add some interesting things to the show. We know that it's probably difficult for Vision to, have kids, but it'll be interesting to see.
You mean impossible? The word you're looking for is impossible.
You know, it's the MCU.
He's a machine.
It's the MCU, and he's more of a synth. So, as they say in Age of Ultron, so he's kind of human body, because that was the big thing in the Cradle, that they were making something better than the robot. It was going to be part human, part robot. So I just rewatched Ultron.
But was it like 1 for 1?
Oh yeah, completely anatomically correct robot. There's no way Tony Stark would not make a anatomically correct robot. So if that's what he was going after. So it's going to be really interesting to see where the show goes. I'm excited to learn more. It's like one of those things where it's like, okay, now we're close to the point where you either have to start revealing what's really going on, or you're going to start to lose people, I think, because if you drag this on too long, you end up doing the whole Lost thing, and then the polar bear never really mattered, and that just makes people more frustrated. So I'm excited to see where the show goes, and we can watch this Friday, and then we'll talk about it next week. So, and now, Jolie, you're all caught up, so go out there, watch it, get caught up. I think you would enjoy the show. It's a lot of fun, and if not, you could just listen to Mike describe it, and then there you go. It's pretty much just as good as watching it, I think.
Awesome.
So. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
That's one of those subtle digs. That's one of those.
No, it's not.
Just kind of turning those screws.
It's not. It's not because you're turning 40 today. Phaedron in chat says Mike does a great job explaining things that he's into. So there you go. He's really excited how you explain that. So, all right, everyone.
Phaedron is my
husband. What? Spoiler alert.
Thanks for listening.
Spoiler alert, right?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Sorry.
So everyone, thank you so much, everyone in chat, for hanging out. Jolie, thank you for joining us on the podcast. We'll have to do it again sometime sometime when Final Fantasy. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The pleasure was yours. That is correct. So maybe when Final Fantasy 16 releases. Is that how you're supposed to say that? Yeah. So
yeah, that you flipped it. So switch it.
It happens sometimes. It's very.
I like that.
It's very late. But yeah, we would love to talk about Final Fantasy in the future, whenever that happens, or hey, even talk about a bunch of Marvel stuff when it comes out. So everyone. In chat, everyone listening on the podcast, thank you for hanging out with us on episode 157 of the Freelancer Codex podcast, a podcast that we don't really know what it's about anymore, but eventually we'll figure it out. So until next time, please stay safe, be kind to each other, and leave it better than you found it, I think. So that's what I would suggest. And go buy some stock.
Thank you for listening to the Freelancer Codex, a podcast brought to you by the Shut Up and Respawn Network. Follow us at Freelancer Codex on Twitter or Twitch. Send emails to freelancercodex@gmail.com or voice messages to anchor.fm/freelancercodex/message. We wish to thank all of our Patreons. We are grateful for you all.
See you later, Twitch.